success. Steps for youth transitioning back into the community. This presentation is designed to provide tips and guidance for youth who are leaving county and state detention facilities and transitioning back to living in their communities.
Today's presenters are Karen Pillar from Team Child and George Yanakis from the Washington State Office of Public Defense.
Reentry is used to describe the important plans and steps that help a young person return to the community after incarceration. Some youth are released after just brief stays in county detention facilities, while others serve longer sentences in state facilities. To help ensure success after incarceration, you should begin planning for reentry as soon as possible, even while the youth is incarcerated.
We'll give a few ideas and recommendations on a variety of reentry topics: housing, health care, education, employment, sealing your juvenile records, and additional considerations like voting and joining the military.
Planning for reentry should begin at the moment a youth enters the facility. Secure confinement includes county detention facilities and state juvenile rehabilitation facilities. There are different levels of support for reentry planning depending on whether you are in a county or state facility.
Juvenile rehabilitation is the state system that provides secure confinement for youth who are sentenced to more than 30 days. There are 3 institutions: Echo Glen, Green Hill School, and Naselle Youth Camp, and 8 community facilities that are operated more like group homes. At all these locations, staff are required to follow specific policies and procedures, which you can find in our web links on the right-hand side of your screen.
Among the policies for state facilities are standards for helping youth with reentry. Staff are required to begin working with youth on reentry issues as soon as their confinement begins. The 7 key areas that their policies require them to focus on are family and living arrangements, peer group and friends, mental, behavioral, and physical health needs, substance abuse, education and vocation, employment, and leisure and recreation. In addressing these areas, the youth will be asked to identify their own short and long-term goals for the incarceration period, like completing high school, exploring college opportunities, and identifying work interests. Staff will also look for opportunities for youth to maintain relationships with their families and communities.
County detention facilities may not have clear policies or staff dedicated to assist youth with reentry challenges, so families and caregivers will play a bigger role in helping plan for successful reentry. Sometimes, youth are in detention facilities for just 1 or 2 nights. Other times, it could be several months. In either situation, youth may face challenges returning to their community. For example, they may be unenrolled from their schools, or the family's housing situation may suddenly change. We'll talk more about these issues later in this presentation. Planning for reentry should start as soon as possible to help ensure a smooth transition after the period of incarceration. Request assistance from attorneys, probation counselors, or detention staff to address challenges with reentry. There will be different levels of support available depending on the county. Therefore, families and caregivers may have to do a lot of the planning and advocacy on their own.
There are important things to keep in mind to ensure safe, stable housing. Juvenile court records create unique challenges, particularly for families that rent their homes in either public or private housing. Knowing the rules and your rights will be helpful. The family remains responsible for providing safe housing for a young person coming out of secure confinement. Sometimes this means relying on friends, family, relatives, and others if the youth cannot return to the parent's home. Youth who have been in foster care prior to secure confinement may find that previous foster care placements are not available anymore. Make sure that staff at the county or state facility works collaboratively with your social worker to identify a new placement prior to release. We have developed a separate video on housing challenges faced by youth and their families when the youth has a juvenile court record. This video contains strategies and resources to help. Click this link or link to the video at the right-hand side of your screen. Youth often receive medical care when locked up in state or county facilities, and it is crucial to continue that treatment when transitioning back into the community. This is so important because continuing with medication management, counseling, crisis planning, and other supportive services are ways to stay healthy once a youth is released. While youth are held in state or county facilities, they cannot use Medicaid. However, they can enroll in Medicaid upon release. Staff at state facilities are supposed to start the process of reapplication prior to release so that there is little or no delay in health care coverage for a youth. The law is less clear about whether staff at county detentions will provide help to reapply for Medicaid. To enroll in Medicaid, a young person or caregiver can call Apple Health for Kids at 1-877-543-7669. If you need help finding health insurance or a provider, there are some good resources available. Health Plan Finder is one way to figure out what free or low-cost health insurance is available to a youth. Washington Recovery Helpline is a good way to locate mental health treatment in the community. Their free number is 1-866-789-1511. For more information and resources about health care for youth involved in the juvenile court system, please see our health care video by clicking on this link or on the link in the box at the right-hand side of your screen. Youth who are returning to the community should be able to transition right back into school with no delay. However, some youth experience barriers such as enrollment delays, discipline history, and loss of credit. Enrollment delays can be avoided by taking steps to prepare. Plan ahead to have all necessary documentation, like birth certificate, immunization records, special education documents, and documents that show where the family lives, like bills or rental agreements. We've provided a link here to the Department of Health, which can provide birth certificates for people born in Washington. Ask the school in the secure confinement facility to provide school records ahead of the release date. Sometimes, youth who are in detention for only a few days can find that their home school unenrolled them while they were in detention. This is a frustrating reality, but being prepared to submit a new enrollment packet will help speed up the return to school. Sometimes youth who have been in detention or JR facilities also have disciplinary problems when they were last in school. Often, when a student is arrested at school, the school will place that student on suspension or expulsion. When the youth is locked up, these disciplinary problems don't get resolved until the youth returns. Plan ahead by talking with the school where the youth is returning to so that any concerns can be addressed. It helps to understand what the school's concerns are so that they can be addressed in advance. For more information on education, both for youth who are currently incarcerated as well as those who are not, please watch our education video by clicking on this link or on the link at the right-hand side of your screen.
If you have a juvenile criminal record, there are many things to keep in mind when you are looking for a job or thinking about your future career. Here are some tips that may help you get a job. Before you apply for a job, take time to put together some important documents that will help you make a positive first impression with your prospective employer. These documents include a resume, which is a brief description of your education, work experience, and any volunteer experience. A cover letter, which briefly explains why you're a good candidate for the job. Letters of recommendation. These could be support letters from teachers, counselors, even family friends, and an identification card or driver's license. If you do not have these documents, there are agencies that will help you prepare them. Be sure to ask for help and save the documents on a thumb drive, have them emailed, or at least printed so you can have hard copies. When it comes time for a job interview, here are a few suggestions to keep in mind. Dress for success. Look professional and never wear cutoffs or tank tops. Show up on time. Make sure you budget your time for taking the bus or dealing with heavy traffic. Before you show up for an interview, write out and memorize a 1-minute summary of why you want the job and why you're qualified for it. This can be a lot of work, but it'll be well worth it during the interview. You'll likely face situations where an employer asks you about your juvenile court record. But don't let that stop you from trying to get a job. If you're asked the question, have you ever been convicted of a crime? You can answer it, no. If you have only been in juvenile court, a person is adjudicated of a crime, which is different from being convicted of a crime. However, to honestly fill out job application, report any information the employer asks. Typically, you do not have to report juvenile adjudications if they have been sealed by the court. Remember that employers are not trained to read or understand court records that they might get from a criminal background check. If your juvenile court history comes up, be prepared to explain it to the employer and emphasize the progress you've made since then with school and or work. To find help in preparing for a job, please see the links we've provided here. These organizations provide job training, resume writing, and other job hunting skills. Also, please be sure to see our employment video. This provides more detailed information about specific types of jobs. If you've been arrested or involved in the juvenile justice system, the court and police keep a record of your case and other information about you. This is what is meant by juvenile court record. In Washington, juvenile court records do not disappear when you turn 18, 25, or even 30. In fact, almost all of your juvenile records remain open for the public, employers, landlords, and schools to see. However, sealing is the process of removing them from public view. You must meet certain requirements to be allowed to seal your records. Eligibility depends on many factors, including the seriousness of the offense, the length of time that you have remained free of any arrests since your most recent stay in detention, and the full payment of any restitution. Once sealed, the court and private credit agencies will not be allowed to tell anyone that you had a juvenile court record. Sealing your record will give you a better chance at an interview for a job, for an apartment, or obtaining a loan or gaining admission to school. However, sealed records are not destroyed, and the records will become public again if you are found guilty of a new juvenile offense or charged with a felony as an adult. We developed a separate video on record sealing, which provides many more details and resources. In that video, we explain the difference between automatic sealing and bringing a motion to seal, and extra steps you must take if you've been adjudicated of a sex offense. In the meantime, we provided a few of those resources on the right-hand side of your screen, including a link to free sealing clinics where you can get help in filling out the necessary forms to seal your record. We already covered a variety of areas to address during reentry: housing, health care, education, employment, and record sealing. Let's take a few moments to quickly address a few more items.
If someone has a juvenile record, can they join the military?
Maybe. Having a juvenile record will not automatically bar you from military service, but you do have to disclose your juvenile record, even if your record is sealed. The military judges each applicant individually, and one of the main criteria is how you have improved your life since your offense. Our video on employment provides more details on joining the military. Karen, can someone with a juvenile record get a driver's license?
Certain crimes will suspend your driving privileges until you get reinstated. For a complete list of requirements, check out this link at the Washington Department of Licensing website. Also, our employment video provides more details on reinstating your license or getting an occupational restricted license. Can a person vote even if they have a juvenile record?
Yes. If you're adjudicated of any crime in juvenile court, you do not lose the right to vote in any election, whether they are city, state, or federal elections. Only if you are convicted in adult court of a felony do you temporarily lose your right to vote. Those rights are restored as soon as you've completed any prison time or Department of Corrections community custody. In fact, your voting rights are restored even if you have outstanding fines, restitution, or other court fees. Just remember to register to vote and vote. Is a word used to describe the shame that you may feel about your criminal record and the fear of being discovered, which causes you to not want to reveal your criminal record. One way to try to overcome the feeling of shame is to embrace your struggle and share your experiences with others. You may have read about many ex-offenders who have succeeded in turning their experience in the justice system into an asset in achieving their career goals. Some ex-offenders have gone on to be lawyers, judges, legislators, doctors, nurses, engineers, and much more.
Successful reentry is a big task, and it requires getting a lot of support and staying focused on success. On the right-hand side of your screen, we've loaded a variety of web links and downloadable resources. To navigate to one of the web links, click on the topic to highlight it, then click the button below that says Browse to. Also, at the right, you'll find links to the 5 other videos that we've mentioned in this presentation: healthcare, education, housing, employment, and record sealing. Please watch those presentations for more details on each of those subjects. Also, if you go into those recordings, you'll have many, many more resources available in web links and downloadable documents. Thank you for watching this video, and we wish you a safe, stable, and successful transition back into the community.